Hey everyone, how's it going? So today we are talking about my favourite opening for white, the English opening. It was famously named after a British Secret Service agent Johnny English. That may or may not be true, I did zero research, but it is categorised by pushing the pawn forwards to the c4. This is controlling the d5 square, and one of the more common things that you're going to see in this position is the opponent just immediately disconnecting. Unfortunately, even at higher levels, I see that all the time because people for some reason have not prepared for this opening. So let's get into it. Now, our main plans within the English is going to be pushing forwards this g3, going for the fianchetto. We want to be controlling along this diagonal here, mainly controlling this d5 square. Once we're kind of fianchettoed off, we'll be seeing both the horses coming out to the c3 and the f3 there. With the king, we're going to be castling off normally to the king's side. Pawns in the centre, it's going to be game dependent, but just say if the pawn's down here on the e5 there, we'll be seeing something like the e3 and then the d4, just trying to smash open the centre there. Game dependent though, sometimes you may see it go the other way with the d3 and then the e4, and these pawns down the side are just going to be pushing down, attacking that queen side. Sometimes if I'm feeling extra spicy, I may go for a double fianchetto, but once again, that's game dependent and kind of depending on how I'm feeling. Sorry if I don't see my normal chipper self. I've come off a 12-hour night shift. I am very, very tired and my delicate balance of propranolol and caffeine is somewhat out of whack. So here I am talking about the English. So let's look at one of the more common moves for some reason that I see, and that is the pawn coming straight down on the d5. Now, you may notice that analysis bar just straight away shoots up in our favour. It makes no sense for black to do this, but for some reason they do it time and time again. Clearly, you're just going to take, and then after the queen takes, we get our horsey, and then we are going to be playing racy-chasey with the queen. And the most common move in this position is probably the worst move, the queen bravely running away back to the d8. Now, basic chess principles. You don't want to get your queen out too early, you don't want to double move pieces, especially in the opening, you know? And that's why this pawn coming straight down on the d5 is such a bad move, and that's kind of why I wanted to touch on it, because you do see it time and time again, especially, you know, like bullet and blitz games, you see it very, very often. The queen jumping back is just absolutely terrible. Really, she should be coming to something like the a5, and I will touch on that in a moment, but if she comes back, we can just continue on normal development. We have a 0.8 lead at this point. Just because we have a couple of pieces out now, we have the massive lead in development, and black simply doesn't. So let's just say he comes out with something like the horsey out to the c6 there. Come across with your bishop, go for the pin. Now if he goes to unblock it, I have zero qualms whatsoever with trading off that light square bishop. Normally with the English, that light square bishop is brilliant, but trading it off and doubling up these pawns just puts us in an even better position. And from here, just push forward the d3, open up this, whoopsie daisy, open up this bishop a little bit, let's just see he comes down with this. We can hop out our horsey like so. And from here, we are going to have plans, just see he comes across with the bishop, just trying to make some room to get castled off there. Pushing forwards this pawn. If he takes, we take back. This pawn is going to be a huge target for us throughout. Even if he pushes down, we can just jump back. That's absolutely fine. We can look at pushing forwards this pawn, nice and protected by this horsey here. Now, this is taken from a real game that I played probably about an hour ago. And this is a relatively high level game. What is this? What is this? He just resigned straight after this. He realised his mistake. Obviously thought it was just normal development, but clearly this is just game over. After takes, and then takes, we are massively winning in this position. 3.6 advantage. We are a minor piece up, and we are just going to completely win the game. I just wanted to point it out, just because this pawn is so dangerous in this position here. But let's just say the queen doesn't run away. Let's just say, stunning and brave, she decides to come across to somewhere like here, to the a5. Now, you can just strike at the centre with your central pawns, that's absolutely fine. I quite like getting out my horsey first, and then after something like c5, e4, he makes room for his bishop. We can just strike at the centre like so. If he takes, clearly we're just going to take back, and that's absolutely fine. You may see him come out with the horsey. Well, it's going to be tempting to push forward that pawn. You can see analysis bar, we just kind of lose our lead there because, you know, you can just take, and then It's just very uncomfortable for us in that position. Instead, strike the other way with the d5. If he takes, we just take back, and we're in a very good position here. Let's just say bishop comes out, we can just go ahead, pop him in check there. Now, the joy with this is he kind of loses his castle an opportunity. You're going to see him move one of two ways, something like here. He can't really block with this bishop, because if he does, because of that pin, we're just going to numb up that bishop there, and he can't block with this, clearly because of this. So getting him to lose his castle an opportunity is just chef's kiss. Now, we do have to be aware of this guy coming across. You know, we'll try and block it, but then horsey comes down, it gets uncomfortable for us, so slide the queen out of the way there. If he goes for the pin, we can just block it, and, you know, if he wants to do the trade, he can there. Comes across, and then we can just block this. And you can imagine from here, we'll just be getting castle enough to safety. We have a 1.3 lead here. We're just going to win the game, really. We have such huge control of diagonals, the centre. Once we're castled off, we'll be getting both the rooks out onto the centre here. We'll be pushing forwards like so. You can already see what our plan is. King is just in the middle of nowhere. You know, the rooks aren't connected. The horsey's still on the back rank. This isn't even English mainline. Sorry, it's such a tangent. It's just, after seeing this so many times, I just wanted to touch on it. So the symmetrical variation. This is essentially where your opponent just copies your moves, and it is very annoying. So we go c4, they go c5. We go horsey c3, they go horsey c6. Horsey f3, horsey f6. Go for the fianchetto, and both get castled off. It is really, really frustrating. It is a very, very common defense against the English, and one of the better ones. However, at this point, there's only so much that they can copy, and at this point, this is where we need to smash forwards the d4, attacking that centre. Now here, we can just quite happily do the exchange there. He makes a little bit of room for his bishop, we get ours across, he gets his bishop out. I'd be very aware when you're in this position that there is a discovered attack here, so just dropping your queen back makes the more sense there. If he goes to kick your bishop out the way, we can drop it back, that's absolutely fine. Might look strange going there, then jumping back, but we've now weakened off the castle a little bit there, which is always good. Now, be aware of this. It doesn't have to be in the English with any game with a fianchetto. Whenever you see the queen and the bishop gearing up like this, always be aware of it. Now, it's not the end of the world, but there is a little trick that I always like to do, and it is to just simply move this guy out of the way. Now you can come to either, you can come across to the E1 or the D1, doesn't really matter too much, so let's just say we'll come across to the E1, because he is going to come across like this. Now, I wouldn't go ahead and take, because it doesn't make any sense, you know, we had that nice control of the diagonal there, and if we take, while the engine doesn't mind it too much, you know, we have to push forward the f3 just to be aware of this coming down. You know, if we don't, let's just say we do this, then it's essentially game over. We'll have to come across, and then it's just so uncomfortable for us, you know. But if we go ahead and do the f3, it's a bit ugly around there, and the king side is more exposed. I don't like it. So instead, if we leave it and then just simply drop the bishop back, we're keeping control of that diagonal there, and we don't really have to worry too much about that, you know. It is absolutely great. But yeah, that is a trick that I do time and time again. Whenever I see these guys pairing up when I have a fianchetto, just move the rook out of the way and then drop back the bishop. It makes it a much more comfortable game, and like I say, you're keeping control of that diagonal. Now from here, you'll probably just see the bishop come across, attacking our queen. We can just smash forwards that e4, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry too much about blocking in this light square bishop for now. It does get freed up quite quickly later on. He moves out the way, and then we come across and offer up the exchange. If he takes it, you can take back either way. There is a fun little trap this way, especially tighter time controls. They think they can grab themselves this, but really after takes, look at that analysis bar, we take back like so. He can't capture back with the pawn because it is essentially just game over. So he has to drop the queen out of the way there. We then attack the king, and then he has to take back, and then we come across like this, and it's a +6 lead to ourselves there, which is very, Very nice. Like I say, instead, more than likely, what you're going to see is something like him coming across to the f5, and then from here we can just do something like the get this guy across to the c3 and offer up the trade like so. And from here, you can imagine what our plans are going to be. If he comes across like this, then we can always just push forward that pawn, get this lovely pawn chain here. And this guy can come out basically whenever he wants now. But yeah, we're going to have a very nice game here. Alright, so we've looked at the d5, we've looked at the symmetrical, let's have a little look at the king's pawn. Now, it's 50-50 whether I fianchetto here, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes it's kind of fun to go into a bit more of a London style, you know, get the bishop to here or the queen here, kind of staring down that way. Depends on how it plays out, but from here, just get out your horsey as normal there. He gets out his, and we can just develop out our other horsey. I mean, like I say, you can just go straight for the fianchetto, or you can get out your horsey. I thought it'd be fun to look at this variant. Now, you can see he may or may not push forward the pawn. If he does, it's not the end of the world. We just jump up to here on the g5, and then after something like this, or plans of this, we can take that, offer up the exchange like so. This comes down, once again, do the exchange, and then we can just hop the horsey back to here on the g3, and this is absolutely fine for us. And from here, after something like the horsey comes out, we can push forwards the e3. We do have to be aware, sometimes he does start pushing forwards with this pawn, so it does just give us a little bit of room to just hop this out of the way. If he doesn't though, let's just say he comes out with the bishop there, we push forwards this, and then after castles, get out our bishop. If he comes down attacking, we can just drop it back, that's absolutely fine. We don't have to worry too much about getting this guy into action just yet. I'd be more concerned about just trying to keep this bishop safe. We really want this diagonal here. And from here, he gets his out, and then we can get castled off to safety, and we're quite happy here. Alternatively, you may see him come down and put us in check. Just block with the bishop, and then offer up the trade like so. And again, we'll just be getting castled off, get this guy across like so. You can kind of see how it's going to play out there. Right, let's bring it back to here. Let's just see he doesn't push forward that pawn. Let's just see he carries on developing with his other horsey. Push forward the e3. Again, we're going to have plans of trying to push forward that pawn, break open the centre a little bit there. Let's just see he comes down with the bishop there. I'll just bring your queen across. So if he does go ahead and take, we can just take back. And the queen's in quite a happy position here. We're piling on quite a lot of pressure onto this pawn. You may just see him come down like so, and that's absolutely fine. It'll just be freeing up this. We get this to here. Get castled off. Don't worry too much about this dark square bishop. Like I say, once this gets pushed forwards, we can just go for the fianchetto on that side. So like I say, being kind of blocked in a bit there isn't really the end of the world there. Let's just say instead he comes across with his queen, that's fine. I'd push forwards the a3 first, just being aware of any kinds of shenanigans like so. If he comes down to meet you like so in the centre, don't go ahead and take because it's just uncomfortable for us. Go right ahead and meet him in the centre yourself. Offer up that exchange like so. Take back with the queen. Clearly you can't take back that way because, you know, there's this going on. Take back with the queen. He gets castled off, and then I'd bring your bishop across to here on the d2 with plans of bringing it across to here. If you see the rook come across, obviously looking at doing this kind of discovered attack there, don't worry, just bring across your bishop, attack his queen like so, get him to drop it back, and then move your bishop out the way with plans of getting castled off there. If he does take, then clearly we're just going to take back with the queen like so, and if he comes down attacking your bishop, we can just drop it back to here quite comfortably. Again, if he keeps laying on the pressure, we can just drop it back there, and we'll be looking at getting castled off nice and safe. We're in a very even position here. We should have a pretty good game. And just to have a quick look, sometimes you will just see the horsey come straight out to the f6. From here, you can basically just play the same as before, get your horsey out, go for the fianchetto. If you see him do something like this, you know, do the pawn first, then looking at kind of breaking open our centre, we can just ignore that. If he goes ahead and takes it, that's fine. We come across our queen, pop him in check. When he blocks it, let's just see he blocks like this, we can just come across to here, nice and comfortable. Sometimes you might see him come across with the pawn like so, but again, we're just going to take it. And if the pawn comes down, you can see that pawn push was in preparation of this. We can just drop the queen back quite happily. He'll go for the fianchetto, we can carry on developing. If he pushes this, again, don't worry, because we are in a much better position now. He now can't push this, because we'll just gobble up this instead. So instead, more than likely what you'll see is him just carry on normal development we get castled off to safety, and again, if this comes down, it's going to be exactly the same there. But from here, our plans probably push forwards this, maybe bring it up to here. We'll be able to free open this, go for the pin, and then look at getting the rooks onto the centre there. It's pretty straightforward. Once you know the basics of the English, you can kind of imagine what our main game plan's going to be. Like I say, pawns will be getting pushed like so, rooks getting into the centre, and we'll should have, once again, a pretty good, nice and even game. Now, there is a fun trap in this opening, so let's bring it to here. We get out our horsey, you see him come down like so, and we just push straight forwards to the e4. If he goes to smash open the centre, we push forward the pawn, we attack his horsey, he attacks ours, we take, he takes back, and then we capture towards the centre there. He takes back with his queen, we can just push forward that pawn, again, just locking in that centre as best as we can there. And then if he goes for something like the Fiend Kettle, we get out our horsey, he does the Fiend Kettle, and then we get our bishop out to here. Again, kind of going for a bit of a London-style setup, but the main thing is that we're trying to control this diagonal here. If you see him go ahead and take like so, then again, that's fine for us, we don't have to worry. But a very natural-looking move is to get out the horsey to here. But look at that analysis bar, because when the bishop comes across, that queen's trapped. That queen's got nowhere to go. And yes, he can come across and take our horsey. We can just drop our queen out of the way there. That queen is still trapped for him. He can take that, we take his queen, he takes that, and then we just drop our bishop back. We are in a much better position. 2.5 advantage to us, and just a fun little trap that's worth bearing in mind. Some other fun traps with the d5 opening. Once we've done the exchange, instead of taking with a queen, you may see him come out with his horsey like so. This is where we can push forwards this e4, and while it looks like you can just jump down and take it, when we swing the queen across, pop him in check there, we just go and get ourselves a nice tasty horsey. One that you see fairly often with the king's pawn opening is once you get out the horsey, he comes down with the pin. We go to kick him out of the way, and then he drops back, and you can just see straight away a huge mistake because we push forward the pawn, he moves to there, and then we've gone and trapped in the bishop, and we are just going to absolutely dominate this game. A fun one that you see when we have all four knights out is from here. We jump up, we offer up the exchange like so, and then it's this pawn coming down like so. Watch that analysis bar there. That's because we can take his horsey, he takes ours, we get our queen out, and we're now threatening this. If he drops it out of the way, then we can just go ahead and take that, and there's nothing he can do but end up massively behind. 4.5 advantage to us. Now we'll look at one more trap, but this is one of my favourites. This is with the king's pawn opening. When we go to do the early Fiend Kettle, you may see him come down and strike right at the centre, and his plan is when we take, he comes down with the queen, and he's clearly trying to pick up our rook there. Obviously, we can't bring this across because he's just going to nom it up, you know, like we go like that, and then it is just game over for us. So instead, we elect to block it with our horsey. And this is where it all goes wrong when he thinks it's a good idea to push forwards that e4. Because what we can do is go across, attack his queen, get him to drop back out of the way, and then push forwards the e4. We allow him to take that, but then we come across with a bishop, pin the queen to the king, and there's nothing he can do. We've now taken that, we're threatening this, we have massively won the game. I love that trap. I love the English, it's my favourite opening for white. I play it all the time and I always bang on about how good it is. This is a bit of like a brief look at it. I do want to go more in depth of like some of the weirder and wonderful lines and variations. I do realise that I've covered the English in the past, but watching back on it, it was a very old video and I sound absolutely terrified to be talking to the camera, so I thought it'd be good to remake it. Like I say, if there's anything that you want to see me cover, pop it down in the comments below, I'd gladly cover it. And if you like this kind of thing, please like it, subscribe it, and all that good stuff. I will catch you dudes later. I'm very tired and I'm going to try and sleep. Peace out.